Welcome. It's Tammy Brown Rodriguez, and we're here today to talk about elections. Yes, we're in it to win it, folks. Dallas County is having some issues, so we want to talk about you as a voter. What can you look for? Now, what I mean by Dallas County is having issues is that because we do countywide voting, and you can go to any voting center in Dallas County right now to vote. Now, the problem with this is that because we have so many precincts, when I go into a voting center, they don't just have one style of ballot because they have to serve the entire community. So they have hundreds of different types of ballots, right? Because who you can vote for is inherently different in Dallas County than maybe who I can vote for. So they have to have a system where they can accommodate all the precinct types. So that means all the ballot styles. Now, here's what's happening. You go in to vote. You're standing in line. You greet the clerk. You give them your ID. They pull up your ballot style. When they say, "Are you still at this XYZ address?" Well, that activates your particular ballot style. And then they print on your card that you handed them your ballot style. And that ballot determines, when you put it into the express vote, which candidates are going to come up on your ballot to vote for. Now, if we can live in the same city, in the same county, but because of your state representative or your Senate district, you're going to have different people to vote for. Well, what's happening here in Dallas County is that I'm given the wrong ballot style. And I go put it in the ballot marking device, which is called the express vote machine. And all of a sudden, the wrong candidates are showing up on my ballot. Now, as an educated voter, I would go, "Excuse me, there's something wrong." And I would identify and ask somebody to come help me. If I didn't know any better, I could just think, "Oh, I must have misunderstood who's actually on my ballot." Well, that's a massive failure, because your vote now is being watered down, discredited, disenfranchised, if you don't know enough to ask for a new ballot. So that's one of the problems that's happening. The other thing that's happening is, let's say you're given the right ballot style, and you put in that ballot, and then the right candidates show up, and you mark your candidates, and then you go to review your ballot. Well, some people are finding that the people that they marked initially, when they go to review the ballot before printing the ballot, it switches. It's a different person. Now, that's crazy talk. I hear you. But I am working with a rapid response team in Dallas County, and we're fielding phone calls from election judges, clerks, poll watchers, and voters, all saying the same thing. So please, please, please be sure you review your ballot and double check to make sure that the people that you marked are still the people that are marked on the ballot. And then that machine is going to print your ballot. Okay, so when it prints it out, again, I need you to check that ballot. Why? Because somehow, even after you double check to make sure you have the right ballot style, you double check that you marked the right people on that machine, you must make sure that it prints out with those people's information and marked on your ballot. We're hearing reports, folks, that some people are getting just barcodes on that ballot after they print it out. And they look at it and they can't tell, right? Because it's a barcode. The human eye can't read a barcode. They need to go to the alternate judges or the people that are working there and say, "Hey, there's a problem with my ballot. I can't read this." Now, not only is that a problem, but let's say you get the right ballot style. Let's say that you go ahead and you marked your ballot properly, and then you reviewed your ballot properly, and it printed out properly. Well, then you go put it in the tabulator. You know that like black box that you feed your ballot into? That's actually when your vote is counted, right? The device that you mark your ballot on It's not counted yet. You just marked your ballot. But when you go to that tabulator, it's called the DS200 machine. When you go to that tabulator and you feed your ballot in, that's when, and then the little wheel, that little wheel shows up on top, right? And that's when it shows that your ballot has been counted. Well, folks, we're hearing across the county, out of 80 vote centers, a large majority of them are having problems with those DS200s. So the people working at those polling stations are telling voters, you can't put it into the box right now, to the tabulator. Just leave it here in a box beside the tabulator. What? Like, in what world is that okay? Now, granted, there is a contingency in that DS200 where there is box number 5, door number 5. It's for an emergency. If something were to happen, you can slide it into that box. It's kind of like a mail slot. Well, when those get full, people are putting containers beside the tabulator. Folks, if you're at a vote center where that's happening, do not, I repeat, do not hand your ballot to them. I urge you to tell the people that are working at that location, you know what? Never mind. Spoil my ballot. I'm going to come back later when things are working. Do not trust that that ballot that is put in a box that anybody can have access to is going to be safe and secure and counted properly. So yes, you can absolutely request your ballot to be spoiled. Now, what that means is they void your ballot. They put it in a special envelope to take down to central count, and then they back you out of the system so that you can come back later and vote. This is why there are so many of us that believe hand-marked, hand-counted paper ballots is the way to go. Look, we're a young country, 56 years. We have done hand-marked, hand-counted ballots up until about 12 years ago, and it worked. And it was precinct-based voting, community-based voting, so that you, in your neighborhood, would go to that location and you would vote, and you would see your neighbors there working the location. And they knew you, you knew them. That makes complete sense. Entire countries all over the world use paper ballots. And this is a perfect reason why we should. If we have 80 voting centers, and let's say 40% of those voting centers are having problems, that is enough doubt and question, and that is enough errors that could cost one of our candidates the election. We owe it to our candidates on both sides to make sure that votes are counted the way that they were intended. And we the people, demand our election administrator, his name is Hyder Garcia, he must do something. We must fix this problem. We've finished our first week in voting, and we're fielding hundreds of phone calls, getting hundreds of emails from concerned voters. So folks, I challenge you, reach out to your elected officials. Who is your House representative? Who is your state senator? Contact the commissioners. And if you don't know who your commissioners are, or if you don't know who your elected officials are, if you live in Dallas County, I want you to go to dallascountyvotes.org. Again, dallascountyvotes.org is the website. And then go to voter, and then go to voter lookup. You put your name and your birth date, and you do voter lookup, and that will tell you who all of your elected officials are. We must reach out to them. This is a problem. Our votes, our elections are at risk. So please, be sure that when you go vote, you do the 3-point check, that it's the right ballot, that the device marks it properly, that it's printed properly, and that it is put into the DS200 properly. Because this election is too critical. This is about our country and what could potentially happen. If our vote doesn't count, Think about that. Do votes count in countries like Venezuela? Do votes count in Mexico, where in their last election, I believe a large number of their candidates were murdered? Folks, we have to press in. So please, reach out to your elected officials, reach out to your local county commissioner, reach out to Hyder Garcia, who is the election administrator for Dallas County, and let's fix this problem before it's too late. So I will give you another update tomorrow. Please be sure to like and follow and subscribe.